What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today we're finally going to be able to do our first calisthenics routine, and I've chosen to do a full body workout just because I think it is the best way to approach your beginning in calisthenics for a total beginner, just because you're able to expose yourself to the essential movement patterns on each workout that you do. We're going to be taking a look at two pushy movement patterns, the push-up and the dip, two pull-in movement patterns, the pull-up and the body row, one leg exercise, the bodyweight squat, and one core exercise, the elbow plank. Now, keep in mind that this routine is especially targeted for absolute beginners who are just starting out in their calisthenics journey and want to build a base and a solid foundation for more advanced exercises in the future. So we're going to be using progressions for each one of the exercises. So if you don't have your first pull-up or your first push-up yet, this routine is going to work perfect for you. But if, for example, you can do more than 2 or 3 pull-ups in a row, this routine might be like way too easy for you. You can still do it because it is always good to revisit the basic, and you can always modify all the exercises to your current level. But keep in mind that this routine is especially for beginners. Finally, we're going to skip the warm-up phase just because I want to keep this video short. But guys, please fully warm up your entire body before you attempt this routine. So without further ado, let's turn the camera around and begin our calisthenics journey. Let's go. So as I said, we're going to be working on pushing, pulling, legs, and core. For pushing, we're going to be working on the two most essential movement patterns that there is in pushing. We have horizontal pushing, which is going to be our push-up. Then we have vertical pushing, which is going to be our dip. And then we have another vertical pushing, but overhead, which is basically transfer to handstand push-ups. We're going to skip that one up, and we're only going to work on push-ups and dips. So let's begin with the push-ups. There are many variations that you can do to get your first push-up, many progressions basically, but we're going to be focusing on only two, which is going to be the elevated push-up as well as the knee push-ups. And we're going to go for 8 on each progression. You're going to place your hands on something elevated. The higher the elevation, the easier the exercise is going to be. So basically, if you're just starting out, you can just prepare your body, do it against the wall, and then find an elevation, a high elevation, and then start bringing it down. Find an elevation that allows you to go for 8 to 10 reps. We're gonna go for 8 reps this time. So place your hands at about shoulder width apart. Start walking your feet back so your body is in a straight line. You're going to tuck your pelvis in, engaging your core and your glutes. You're going to wrap your triceps in and bring your shoulders down into depression. I don't want you to be right here shrugging up. So send your shoulders down, then go on your tiptoes, lean forward, get the bar towards your chest, then push yourself back up. That's for 1. Let's go for 7 more. 2, make sure to keep your elbows in the entire time. 3, 4, 7, and 1 more. Get the chest to the box of the elevation, then push yourself back up. So for me, that is basically the best way to get your first push-up, just because you can always scale it down and you can bring that elevation lower and lower and make the exercise harder to your own individual level. The next one is going to be knee push-ups, which I also believe to be very effective. We're gonna go for 8 of these. So for this one, you're going to get into your knees, place your hands shoulder width apart, adjust your knees back as you need it. You're going to again tuck your pelvis in so you engage your core. And the biggest mistake that people do is basically coming down and flaring their elbows out and just coming down in this motion. What I want you to do is first wrap your triceps in, and second, you're going to lean forward so when you come down, the elbow is in alignment with the wrist and it's not behind the wrist. So let's go for 8 of those. Lean forward, that's for 1, and push yourself back up. 3, 4, keep your elbows as close to the body as possible. 6, and 2 more. 7, keep leaning forward, and 8. Give it a shake to the arms. So basically those are the two best progressions that I found to get your first push-up. Again, you can always modify the exercises, and if you're a little bit more advanced, you can go ahead and just do push-ups in the ground. Now, the next pushing movement pattern is going to be a vertical pushing movement patterns. As I said, we have two pushing patterns that are vertical. We have pushing down, which is going to be the dip, and then you have overhead, which is going to be the handstand push-up. We're going to be working only on the dip today, and there are several progressions to actually get your first dip. You can use a band to assist you, but the one that we're going to use today is going to be negative, which I believe to be the best way to build your strength for your first dip. We're going to use a box just because if the dip bar is too high and you need to jump, you might need to have some strength to actually come up and then come all the way down. And the second downside would be that if it is too high, then you go up, you work on your negative portion, and you don't have the range of motion to touch the floor, or if the bar is too high, you're gonna be struggling here to actually get your feet towards the floor. So I like to use a box or something to elevate myself, and you're going to place your hands at about a hand distance away from the box. You're going to find that top position, then you're going to support yourself, keeping your legs together, elbows again are wrapping in, you open through the chest, and we're gonna come down into about 5 to 8 seconds as controlled and as slow as possible, keeping your elbows in, opening through the chest, slightly leaning forward, and then you're going to go back towards the box. So we're trying to go for 5 to 8 seconds. If you can do more than 8 seconds and you're coming down, you can already do your first dip. So you might as well do a couple dips, as many as you can, and then work on your negative. We're gonna go for 5 more of those. So place your hands at about a hand distance apart, lean forward, support yourself, come down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, come back up, lean forward, put one foot up, put the other one up, triceps wrap in, shoulders are pressing down, come down with a slight angle, leaning forward, and go back there. Third rep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go back. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, come back, and last one, lean forward, one foot, second foot, elbows in, lean forward, come down as slow and as controlled as possible. So basically, for me, this is the best way that you can do to achieve your first dip. And again, the push-up and the dip are two of the most fundamental pushing movement patterns that there is in calisthenics and are going to prepare your body for more advanced positions in the future. The next movement pattern that we're going to look at is going to be pulling. So for pulling, the most essential and the easiest one that there is going to be the body row. We're going to be using rings, but I want to show you why I'm going to be using rings instead of a low dip bar, which you can also use. But for example, this bar gets to my chest line. So if I try to modify, let's say getting all the way here, this is going to be super easy. It's super good form because my bar should get to my chest or lower, but this is like way too easy for me. So if I try to modify by bringing my feet forward, I'm still good right here, but that's still too easy. So if I want to make it harder and be right here, I'm going to find myself basically shrugging my elbows and flaring my elbows out as well, shrugging my shoulders, and it's just going to be bad form just because the bar is fixated. So that's why we're going to be using rings for this exercise. So if you don't have rings, you can always use a bar. You can also use even a table to do this exercise. But if you have a pair of rings, which I recommend you get a pair of them, we're going to put the lower portion of the rings at about a hip height of yourself. That's a good place to start because you can grab the rings and you're going to walk all the way down to make it as the easier progression that there is for the body row. From here, I want you to keep your body straight and tight the entire time. From here, the first thing that you're going to do is bring your shoulders back into retraction and then down into depression, and you're going to keep that activation the entire time. From here, you're going to pull towards your chest and then come down. If that's too easy, you're going to always bring your feet forward and modify. The more parallel to the ground you are, the harder the exercise is going to be. So find a place that you can go for 8 reps, which we're gonna go for. So again, shoulders back and down, body tight, then pull up for 1, down, pull up for 2, down, up, 3, 4, 5, 6. Keep your elbows close together. Once you get to the top, squeeze the back, come down, 2 more, 7, and last one. Hold at the top, 5 seconds, 5, 4, squeeze your back together, 3, 2, 1, and release. So again, this is the most fundamental pulling movement pattern that you can do, and that is categorized as a horizontal pulling movement pattern, which is gonna help you to actually transfer that to a vertical pulling movement pattern, which is going to be the pull-up. So for the pull-up, again, there are many variations and progressions that you can use to get your first pull-up. You can do pull-ups with the band. You can basically assist yourself having your feet all the time in an elevation. You can just work on body rows, and that's going to increase your strength for the pull-up. But the best way that I found to increase my pull-up strength and to actually get me to the first pull-up is going to be pull-up negative. So you're going to find an elevation, and you're going to place it again, as we did with the dip, a hand distance apart from the bar. Again, I see people like jumping like from the bottom and trying to hold and then control the negative, but if the bar is too high, you're going to need to apply some strength to get to the top, and some people don't have the strength to actually get that portion of the pull-up. So I like to use something to elevate myself. This bar is still pretty high, so I still need to jump, but ideally you would find a bar that's right here, so you can just grab the bar and just control the movement. From here, we're going to do a mini jump. Keep your elbows in, bring your shoulders down, and retract it like we did with the body rows. Jump, feet together, everything's tight, and come down into 5 to 8 seconds. As controlled as possible. Get your arms completely straight and go back to the box. That is 1. We're gonna go for 5 more, 6 in total. So grab the bar, shoulder width apart. Thumb can be under, can be over. It doesn't really matter. It depends on the application and the exercise that you're doing. But for this case, thumb under or thumb over the bar, it doesn't really matter. So let's go for 5 more. Jump, elbows in, come down with control. Go back to the box. Here, jump, down. Go back to the box. Keep your elbows in. Little jump, legs together, point your toes. Come down. As slow, as control as possible. Two more. Again, if you can do more than 5 to 8 seconds, that means that you can already do 1 pull-up. So do 1, 2, or 3 pull-ups, or as many pull-ups as you can do, then work on your negative. Let's go for the last 2. Jump up, feet together, everything tight, elbows in, squeeze your back, control the movement, extend your arms completely, back to the box. And last one, make it count, go up, and control. So as you can see, even negative pull-ups are hard for me and can still be challenging. Even if you can do 10, 20, or 30 pull-ups, if you really control that negative, you can really build additional strength in your pulling strength. So that's basically the 2 pulling movement patterns that there is. We have horizontal pulling movement patterns, and then we have vertical pulling movement patterns. Of course, there are many variations to both and to many other actually angles of pulling, but those are the most essential ones when it comes to starting your calisthenics journey. Next one is going to be for our legs, and we're going to do a simple body weight squat. So I think most of us, or basically all of us, can do a body weight squat. I'm just gonna give you a couple pointers so you make the exercise right, and we're gonna go for 15 reps. Actually face sideways so you can see a little bit better the form. So place your feet about shoulder width apart. Some people like to place their feet a little bit to the outside. I find that to be really more comfortable for my own personal circumstances, but some people like to face it completely forward. It's completely up to you. Do what actually feels good when you're doing the squat. What you want to be focusing on is coming down with your chest up, slightly arching your back, but more like neutral. But what I don't want you guys to do is actually round your spine and be like right here. I want to create extension and keep that core engaged and neutral. From here, you can place your hands here, forward, wherever you feel more comfortable. From here, you're going to come down. Make sure your knees are not caving in, but they're caving to the outside. Get to a position where your back is still flat. Some people say that you need to get all the way down, but if you get all the way down and you start to round, that is actually not a good position to be in. So just come as down as you can go by keeping your back flat, and then go back up. And eventually you can work on your mobility, on your ankle dorsiflexion and your hip mobility, as well as your hamstrings and your low back flexibility, to actually be able to come down, basically all the way down into your squat. But for now, just go all the way down until your back is still flat. We're gonna go for 15 of those. Keep your arms here, chest up, keep your core engaged. Come all the way down, send your knees to the outside so they don't cave in. Come all the way down. As soon as you get to your max spot, push yourself back up. I like to extend my arms. When I extend, I engage my glutes, I engage my core, keep everything tight as well as my quads, and then I come back down. Size 2, 3, 4. Try to look forward so you keep the extension on the chest. That is 6, I believe. 7, 8, 9. Keep your core tight the entire time. 10. 5 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Whew. So again, guys, that is the most fundamental exercise that there is when it comes to your legs. You can always modify by putting something beneath your butt. So you come down, you sit down, and then you push yourself back up. And this is going to build basically your strength for more advanced leg exercises like the pistol squat, but we're gonna get that into another video. Lastly, after pulling, pushing, and legs, we cannot forget our core. Our core muscles are the most important muscles there are, especially when it comes to bodyweight training, because they're basically your stabilizer muscles. They're going to stabilize your body for very advanced movements in the future, and even for the most basic ones, you need a strong core to keep a straight body line and being able to do the movements with perfect form. So the exercise that we're going to do is going to be a elbow plank, which is basically, you probably have done it in the past. It's probably the most common core exercise that there is, especially for stability, because when we're talking about core, we have core stability, which is basically stabilization and isometric holds, and then you have core strength, which is basically moving through that range of motion in a core exercise. But again, that's for an entire different video. When I hold the plank for, let's go for 30 seconds. So put your forearms at about a forearm distance apart. You can be here, which feels more comfortable. You can even bring your hands together, but make sure you are a forearm distance apart each arm. From here, put your feet back. Your shoulder is in a line with your elbows. You're not leaning forward or leaning backwards. So you need to adjust your feet as you need for that. From here, you're going to push up your scapula into protraction, deep press, so you engage your lats. Tuck your pelvis in so you engage your core and your glutes, and you keep everything tight. Let's go for 15 more seconds. All right, last 5 seconds. 5, 4, squeeze everything in. 3, 2, keep your body tight. Finish strong. 1, and done. Whew. So even a beginner's workout can be pretty challenging if you do the exercise right, and that's what really matters, guys. If doing the exercise with the best form that you possibly can, stop worrying about quantity and start focusing on quality of movements. There is no point of doing, let's say, a body row and just shrugging your shoulders up, flaring your elbows out. that is just a compensation of your body that you're just choosing exercise that is way too hard for your level. So put your ego aside, work on a progression that allows you to work that exercise with good form, and I promise you that if you build a solid foundation over time, you're gonna become proficient at these base fundamental movements, so you're going to be able to go for more advanced movements. So that's it for this week, guys. I hope you enjoy this routine. Please let me know in the comment section what else do you want to see on this channel. Let me know if this routine was like way too easy for you guys. Let me know if you find it helpful, and if you find it helpful, make sure to hit that like button to support the channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any content in the future. As always, guys, I will see you all next week. Ciao.